right, we're going to try something new on Interman Radio this week. Mark and I have been talking
about... surprise!
Yay! Okay, we've been talking about having maybe a little less formatted episode, where we do a little bit of banter back and forth.
Almost more live.
Yes, almost.
Sounds dangerous.
Yes. So literally, guys, 2 minutes ago, I dropped this idea on Mark, and he said he's game.
Why not?
All right. Welcome to Interman Radio, where we accomplish more than we thought we could through Christ's power working in us, regardless of what your pastor said last week.
Hey guys, let's drop the excuses. Let's pick up our Bibles and prepare to win.
So here's what we're going to do this week. I'm going to bring up a situation to you, Mark, that happened in our household. And, that may have happened in someone's household.
Okay, all right.
And then let's talk it through.
Okay.
All right. So, because I have a feeling that this might apply to moms and dads out there.
All right.
I'm up for it. So, there's a movie. Planes. It's kind of a takeoff from Cars.
Yep.
Okay,
yep.
So in Planes... There's a scene where they're getting ready to go and they're going to go start fighting the fire.
Okay.
But the background... Have you seen the movie?
This is Planes 2, I believe.
Is it?
Because I saw Planes 1.
Okay.
Yeah, but I haven't seen number 2.
Well, I don't know which one this was.
All right.
Okay, all right. So in this movie, I'm watching it, and all of a sudden, you hear the... thunder. Okay, so it's the AC/DC soundtrack playing in the background. And it actually sounds really cool. The planes are taking off, they're getting ready to go fight the fire and all that kind of thing. All right. And I'm sitting here watching this thing, and in my mind are coming back the soundtrack from when I was a teenager.
Yeah, okay.
And there's this, maybe it's almost instinctive, visceral, manly, I love the guitar riff, that's really so cool and everything. But it's AC/DC, dude. Mm-hmm. And they're not exactly known as being on the highway to heaven. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so and then going back and thinking about a lot of the songs and things that I listened to as a teenager that I was told I couldn't.
Yes.
Right? So right. Those lyrics are memorized, even the bad ones.
Yeah,
and they're still up there.
Yeah.
Okay? So this is... But the soundtrack is so cool.
Yeah. All right.
And my girls are watching the movie. And they...
You didn't start singing along, did you?
I did not out loud.
Right. Oh, no.
Okay? And so they're watching the movie. And the song that they're playing is not bad. It's just a cool guitar riff and everything else. But it's still AC/DC. So now my girls are... It's like, oh, AC/DC. So they... Like kids do now. They'll take a soundtrack and they'll look it up on Spotify and they'll start playing it. So now all of a sudden AC/DC is on my daughter's playlist.
Right.
But that doesn't stop there. Younger sister likes what older sisters like to listen to.
Yeah.
So now younger sister, a.k.a., 4-year-old younger sister, now knows about thunder. But it's AC/DC.
Right.
So when I find this out, inside I'm going, the two reactions. First is, oh no. I mean... and the second is, well, that is kind of a cool song, but but the overriding reaction is, wait a minute, what door have I opened up here? And so the question I'm posing is, I can see firsthand how opening up the door just a little bit to that worldliness. I can see how letting a cool guitar riff stay in our consciousness because it's cool, how it can have some negative effects because it seems to have opened up a door to other things, and I'd like to know your opinion on that.
That's it, huh?
That's it. I told you.
Yeah. Boy, there's a lot of things that come into play simultaneously in doing that. As parents, our job is to expose our kids to those questions in ways that prepare them to make good decisions.
Okay.
So I can almost hear two groups of parents reacting to your question, and on opposite ends of the spectrum, one group is aghast that they have internet access at all, and one group, I can't believe that you, and on the other side,
And for those guys, I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I get it. Really,
Yep.
really and truly. I'm not going to laugh at you for that. I mean, I understand that.
And on the other side, there are some parents who exercise zero control and oversight, and for them that is no big deal at all. That's totally fine. They would say, better the kids learn it early than learn it late. That's fine. They're going to figure it out sooner or later. So how do we as Christians make that determination? I think that's the question that we're asking today.
Right.
And frankly, that's a little tough. They are going to be exposed to worldly things. I guess our job as parents, from my perspective, is I don't think you can give an ironclad response here in one way or another and say thou shalt or thou shalt not, because I think there's going to be exceptions to those rules. If we say, well, we only allow our children to listen to Christian music. Mm-hmm. Well, we've poked enough fun about Christian radio on this podcast to fill, I think, a couple of shows.
It's Christian radio.
That's right, yeah. And so not everything that's marketed as Christian radio is Christian. If we were to get really specific, how many of the people who make quote-unquote Christian music are actually biblical Christians?
Right.
So that's where are we going to draw that line is the question.
The message is where we draw the line, isn't it?
Well, that's where I'd like to draw it, is there, whether or not this is something that's positive, whether or not this is something that encourages me or my kids to be better and to do better. I'm reminded of 1 Corinthians chapter 10, where Paul says, all things are profitable, verse 23, but not all things all things are lawful, but not all things are profitable. All things are lawful, but not all things edify. Yeah, the bigger question for us is not whether it comes with the American Family Association seal of approval,
I like that.
It has James Dobson's endorsement, or any one of those others. But whether or not it's a positive thing, does this move me or does this move my children in a positive direction?
Okay, all right. So now that's. How can anybody disagree with what you just said?
That was my goal right there, yeah.
All right. So let's narrow it down. We're putting the clamps on Mark here, guys. All right. So narrow it down. All right. So take this in this scenario. You've got a song, you know what, and I didn't go and listen to all the lyrics. Maybe the lyrics aren't all that great. Uh-huh. I'm assuming they're okay if it was in a Disney movie. Well, that's a big assumption, isn't it? But anyway, I'm assuming they're okay. They're not too awfully bad, that they're decent lyrics. Okay, but it's still, dude, it's AC/DC. And now our kids have a taste for that because it's, quote, cool.
Uh-huh.
Isn't there something wrong with that?
As we certainly have to watch as parents, there are some doors. Okay, here's a great example, right? We know that advertisers are very much aware of children as a demographic.
Yes, they're the demographic,
and they are selling to children, and in many cases they're selling adult themes. They're selling lifestyle. They're selling, and all of those things are going to be packaged in a way that is deemed appropriate for younger consumption. Mm-hmm. So they just, they paint it with more pastel colors, but it's still the same stuff. It's just being marketed to kids.
Right. Kids that should be innocent, that are losing their innocence at younger and younger ages all the time.
That's true.
So where do we draw the line there?
Two things. Number one, I think we have to be we got to weigh the risk.
Okay.
So what is the risk if we open this door for the kids? And because, man, once you open it, you
there
can't
is no
close
closing
it.
that door, guys.
You can't go back.
No.
So we have to be really conscious of that particular fact that, okay, if we're going to allow the kids to go here, if we're going to open this door for them, then we need to be ready for what those consequences are. So it's a little bit of a risk management call. That's not going to be the same for every family. And moms and dads are going to have to be really proactive as to what they're going to allow their kids to assimilate into their character and be, anticipating, okay, if we do this, that's going to lead to such and such.
Right.
So each family is going to be a little bit different in how they administer, how they apply those principles. The second thing is I can't make that distinction for other families. My job is to raise my children. It's not to raise your children. It's not to raise somebody else's children. Mm-hmm. So it's important that if I make a judgment call about this personally for my kids, my family, then I have to let everybody else have the same freedom to make that call in their family.
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
So.
Yes, we're waiting.
That's how I would do it.
All right, Mark.
Uh-huh.
So your kids see Disney, Pixar, Planes 1 or 2, and they like the soundtrack.
Uh-huh.
And it's got AC/DC on it. Do they have opportunity to download that soundtrack at the Miller home?
No.
Okay.
That's where I would draw the line.
Okay.
I would say no. It opens a door that is more than what they are capable of handling. A lot of this is going to change with the age of your children.
Yeah.
Our children span, in my family, our children span a gap of almost 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, the difference between 5 and 15 is a large one.
Yeah.
And what I would consider appropriate and acceptable for my older kids, I would certainly not deem appropriate for some of my younger kids.
Okay.
And so, it's going to have to be a case-by-case basis, and there's not one pat answer where you can say, this is how it's got to be done every time. Those are the principles, and that's how I'd apply them, but, yeah.
So, I'll tell you what I did not hear in this conversation. Okay, I didn't hear you say, well, they're teenagers and they're going to do it and they're going to find it, so we might as well. I didn't hear that. That's not one of the operating principles. Well, the operating principle here is, the second principle you mentioned is that everyone needs to decide where those lines are in their own household, and there's freedom in Christ to do that. But the operating principle that you're working from is what is going to be beneficial for the character development of my child.
Right.
And are they able to handle this piece of information at this time without it being detrimental to them?
Yeah. So, like let's say my 15-year-old, let's say that she wants to download that soundtrack. That gives me some opportunity with her to have that discussion about, well, what do you think, This is where you're going to allow someone for the length of this album to direct your thinking. I mean, you are going to think, your mind is going to go down the groove of that 78, just like the needle does, and you're going to be drawn right down that same path. Is that a path that you want to go down?
What if she says, well, I don't see a problem with it, Dad?
Well, then I think we need to take some time and examine the path.
Okay.
I think let's talk about it. So, what are the things that you're allowing your mind to be drawn down while you listen to the album? It's a reasonable question. And I think one reason why parents may be reluctant to have this discussion with their kids is because they don't want to be deliberate about the stuff they allow into their minds either.
That's exactly right, because that was the other part of this conversation is that in the back recesses of Jason Yates' history, there's a lot of AC/DC, man. and I don't like that part.
Yeah.
Mostly. But you know what? Sometimes when you're flipping through the stations and there's a cool guitar riff that comes up, you kind of think, hey, that's a cool guitar riff, man. Oh, no, it's and you hate it and you love it at the same time.
So the kids are going to ask you, well, does that mean you should listen to... And moms and dads, you better be ready for that question.
That's exactly right. So for me, and this others can't draw, you guys draw it where you need to, but for me, I have to say, that cool guitar riff isn't really worth opening up that door of justification to my daughters.
Yeah.
I can do without the cool guitar riff.
Yeah.
And if that means I got to listen to something that isn't quite as cool, so be it. Because the message is more important than the metal. Ha!
Oh, that's good.
Because I can see where those little compromises come back to play themselves out detrimentally in our kids' lives.
Yeah,
they catch up
they
to
sure
us.
Can.
They really do. Thanks for entertaining that question, Mark.
Oh, that was a lot of fun. They're hard to work themselves out, but that's real life. How do we put into practice the principles of the Scripture?
We'll talk about another one next time
on Inner Man Radio.